Across the endless savannas of eastern Africa, striped nomads endure countless predators and rough terrain following the rain in search of grass. These nomads, known as Grant zebras, are one of the most recognizable animals on the planet. From their dazzling striped coats to their horse-like appearance, Grant zebras are one of Africa's most iconic animals. Grant zebras are true survivors as they are able to thrive on low-quality forage, migrate when food becomes scarce, and stick together as their unique social structure allows them to form strong bonds amongst members of the same family group. These very traits have allowed Grant zebras to become one of the most successful large ungulates on the planet. Their success intrigues people so much that millions of tourists travel to Africa each year to see these incredible animals on safari. Yet despite their popularity, zebras and humans do come into conflict. Grant zebras face their issues with humans when they are poached so people can sell their striped coats for clothing and decoration, as well as being found grazing some of the same areas where people let their cattle graze. Both these problems have led to zebras being killed, resulting in some zebra populations to decrease or become extirpated in sections of eastern Africa. Yet despite the conflicts, Grant zebra populations remain quite strong across their range. In this film, you will learn the natural history of these striped members of the horse family, tenacious travelers and resilient protectors ready to defend their lives against a variety of predators that are ready to pounce. The Grant zebra is the smallest subspecies of plain zebra. This subspecies of plain zebra is also the most common zebra found across Africa. As their appearance suggests, zebras are members of the horse family called Equidae. They have barrel-shaped bodies with 4 short legs, each having 1 weight-bearing toe on each foot. Zebras also have elongated faces with a black muzzle, a long neck, and a mane that runs down the top of their neck. Zebras aren't particularly sexually dimorphic, meaning the sexes are not morphologically distinct, despite male zebras called stallions being slightly larger than females called mares. Both stallions and mares average 3.6 to 4.5 feet tall at the shoulder, 7 to 8 feet in length, and weigh between 500 to 800 pounds. One subtle distinction between stallions and mares is that stallions possess 4 canine teeth with 2 on the top and 2 at the bottom of the mouth. These canines are used primarily when fighting other stallions. Zebras are one of the most recognizable animals on the planet because of their stripes. The striped coat of a zebra is one of nature's most beautiful designs. What makes a zebra's striped pelage so unique is that no 2 zebras have the same stripe pattern. Even each side of a zebra has a different pattern from the other. The different subspecies of plain zebra all have their own variation in how their stripes are displayed. Grant zebras have broad stripes that are further apart than any other zebra. These broad stripes cover the entire body of the animal, including the flanks, legs, and around the belly. When talking about zebra stripes, it is quite difficult to avoid the question of why zebras have stripes. Are the stripes used for camouflage for concealment against predators? Do the stripes confuse predators, making it difficult to single out an individual zebra to hunt? Does the contrast between the black and white stripes act as a form of thermal regulation to help warm or cool a zebra? Perhaps these theories are possible, but a study conducted by Dr. Tim Caro and his team from the University of California, Davis has proposed a more bizarre yet interesting theory, which now actually has the most support. According to Dr. Caro's findings, the function of zebra stripes is to deter biting flies that carry diseases which can be fatal to zebras. Unlike other ungulates of the African savanna, zebras don't have a solid pelage and are not constantly bombarded by flies. This is because the flies are disoriented by the stripe patterns adorning the zebra's body. The stripes create a disorienting sense of movement, making it harder for the flies to gauge and time their speed, resulting in the flies being unable to perform a smooth landing. As a result, the flies just bounce off the zebra's body. Because other ungulates have more solid pelages, the flies prefer to make a blood meal from these animals instead, as they can easily land on them. Despite losing habitat and competing with livestock, Grant zebras are resilient animals thanks to them being habitat generalists, allowing them to thrive in a variety of habitats. Primarily, they dominate savannas and savanna woodlands in eastern Africa in the countries of Tanzania and Kenya. Grant zebras are found in many of the national parks and reserves in these 2 countries, including the Masai Mara National Reserve, Ngorongoro Conservation Area, and most notably the famous Serengeti National Park. Being mostly found in the Serengeti Mara ecosystem, most of the world's Grant zebras take part in the most famous animal migration in the world. The Great Migration is a continuous migration that occurs throughout the year. The zebras travel in search of the freshest grasses that grow as a result from the rains. Because of this lifestyle, Grant zebras are not territorial animals. Zebras are not alone in the Great Migration, as they are joined by over 1 million blue wildebeests, which outnumber the hundreds of thousands of zebras that participate in this epic odyssey. Though both animals migrate together, the zebras are the ones that actually lead the migration, as they are the first animals to arrive at each stop along the migration route. It is thought zebras lead the migration as they use their excellent memories to remember where they go throughout their journey. Zebras also lead the migration, being pioneer grazers as they prepare the savannas for more specialized grazers like wildebeest, which rely on shorter, more nutritious grasses. Zebras will arrive first, eating the longer, coarser grasses that lack the nutrition wildebeest need to sustain themselves. By eating these grasses, zebras leave shorter grasses and shoots which wildebeest specialize in eating. This preference in grass type allows zebras and wildebeest to migrate together and not compete for the same resource. Zebras are herbivores as they primarily eat various species of grass, including the very dominant red oak grasses. Red oats and other grass species that dominate the savanna are coarse and low in nutritional quality. Because of this, zebras spend most of their day grazing to make up for the lack of nutrition they obtain from the grasses they eat. In order to prepare the grass for digestion, zebras must use their teeth to obtain the grass. First, zebras use their flexible lips to grab the grass. Then, zebras use their front teeth called incisors to clip the grass from the stems. Next, zebras utilize a space between their incisors and premolars called the diastema, which allows room for the tongue to maneuver the grass to the premolars and molars to be grinded down. The premolars and molars grind the grass into a pulp, forming a bolus, making it easier for the grass to be swallowed and digested. The canines, only being found in the stallions, do not aid in the digestion process. Grant zebras are highly social animals with a unique social structure compared to other ungulates. Zebras live in a social group called a harem, which averages 6 to 7 animals. The zebra harem consists of a stallion, a few mares, and their foals. The stallion is the most dominant individual of the harem, whose sole job is to protect his harem from predators and rival stallions. Next in the hierarchy is the dominant mare. This individual is most often the oldest and most experienced mare in the harem. When a zebra harem is on the move, the dominant mare leads the way while the other mares follow behind in rank. If a lower-ranking mare moves ahead of the dominant mare, she will be met with bared teeth and the rump turned towards her of the dominant mare, getting ready to kick at the lower-ranking mare. Usually once this occurs, the lower-ranking mare will immediately return to her position. While on the move, a mare will have her foal right by her side. If a mare still has other offspring with her in the harem, they will be in the reverse order of dominance, with the youngest foal first and the oldest last. All mares of the harem respect the position of the foals, especially when it comes to the foal or foals of the dominant mare. Ironically, despite the stallion being the most dominant individual, he often positions himself at the rear. This ensures he can keep an eye on the harem to ensure their safety from predators or rival stallions. The stallion also keeps to the rear to help mares or foals that are lagging behind to protect them. Ultimately, what makes a zebra harem unique is they are extremely stable. This stability is created by the relationships formed between the mares of the harem and the mares with the stallion. Being that a harem is a small social group, it makes it easier for the zebras to get to know one another, allowing social bonds to form. The mares in particular form such strong bonds with each other that if the stallion is killed or driven off by another stallion, the mares will stick together. This bond is also highly exclusive, as mares won't tolerate mares from other harems that they come across. One way zebras strengthen their bonds with each other is through mutual grooming. In order to groom one another, two zebras will approach each other standing shoulder to shoulder with their lips extended. Both zebras will then proceed to nibble each other's backs and necks using their incisor teeth. A zebra can't reach these areas efficiently on their own, so the act of being groomed is very reinforcing. This act of both zebras grooming each other strengthens the social bond, as it helps both zebras remove loose hair and dead skin from their bodies, which feels good, creating a calming effect. Mutual grooming is a behavior performed by both stallions and mares, but stallions have their own rituals when it comes to greeting other stallions to figure out who is who in the immediate area. This behavior in stallions is known as ritualistic greetings. When two stallions see each other, they begin to produce a lot of whinnying vocalizations before they meet with each other. The stallions will then approach each other with their necks extended, ears pricked, and mouths partially open. The stallions will then make nose-to-nose contact with each other. Then the stallions will shove their heads against each other's flanks and sniff each other's genital regions. Then the stallions will sniff each other's nose a second time and rear up on their hind legs. If this interaction occurs between an adult stallion and a young submissive stallion, only nose sniffing will occur. Stallions perform these greeting rituals as a way to reduce aggression and to create mutual respect for each other. With Grant zebras being highly social animals, they rely heavily on different forms of communication. One form of communication zebras utilize are facial expressions. Facial expressions are one of the most common forms of communication in which zebras utilize when interacting with conspecifics. When a zebra is relaxed, they will have their mouth closed and ears pointing straight up. A zebra can also be relaxed while greeting another zebra, but their mouth would be open rather than closed. A nervous zebra will point its ears forward while baring their teeth. When a zebra is aggressive, they will pull their ears back while baring their teeth. Zebras also communicate with conspecifics through vocalizations. It has been documented that zebras produce up to 6 different types of vocalizations. One of the most common vocalizations zebra makes is a loose-lipped blowing sound zebras make when they are content. This sound is often made when zebras are grazing or relaxed standing amongst other zebras. A short, high-pitched squeal can be heard when 2 zebras fight or play with one another. This sound is made when one of the zebras feels fearful or got hurt from the altercation. Foals also produce a high-pitched squeal when they are in distress. This sound is produced by a foal if they become separated from their mother. Both the mother and stallion will respond to this call. Zebras will produce a snort when they are aware of a threat. A zebra will look in the direction of the perceived threat while producing a loud snort followed by a hard stomp with one of their front hooves. The zebra's snort is an attempt to tell potential predators that they have been detected and they should give up on the hunt. Most predators take the hint and give up the hunt because zebras have more endurance than the predators that hunt them. There's another form of the snort that is more hoarse-sounding, no pun intended. The zebra breathes in and out of its open mouth. When this vocalization is made, zebras will often form a semicircle staying close to each other. The most common and recognizable zebra vocalization is the contact call. The contact call is a zebra's primary vocalization used when a threat is detected, alerting other zebras to the danger. The contact call is often described as a barking or barking winning sound. Zebras will also make this call if they become separated after a predator was hunting the herd. Zebras often become separated in the chaos and lose sight of each other. Making this call helps guide them back to other members of their harem. Due to the harem structure of zebras, there is a large surplus of stallions waiting to seek an opportunity to start or claim a harem of their own. Since stallions still seek desire to be in a social group, these stallions form groups called bachelor bands, which consist between 2 to 15 animals. Stallions form bachelor bands when they've been pushed out of their harem by another stallion, or when a male zebra foal called a colt reaches 1 to 3 years of age, leaving their natal harem. Like a harem, there is a dominant stallion that takes charge of other zebras in a bachelor band. The dominant stallion is always an adult. Other adult stallions in the bachelor band share equal rank with each other below the dominant stallion. This is different with colts that tend to form a dominance hierarchy amongst themselves. Regardless of the social structure, Grant zebras all go about their day in much the very same manner. Zebras are diurnal animals, meaning they are mostly active during the day. Zebras will begin their day around sunrise, where they join wildebeest to move to areas where they will graze for the day. Believe it or not, zebras spend most of their day grazing on a variety of species of grasses. This is because the grasses zebras eat are very low in nutritional quality, so they have to compensate by eating large quantities of grass to get the nutrition they need. Besides grazing, zebras will also perform other activities such as mutual grooming to strengthen bonds between family members, rub their bodies against trees, logs, and rocks to relieve an itch, and trek to water for a drink. Bachelor stallions and colts often make time to have play fights or skirmishes throughout the day as well. Since zebras are quite active most of the day, they will often rest in the early afternoon as this is the hottest time of the day. One way in which zebras rest, but still remain vigilant, is by resting their heads on each other's backs. This position occurs with the zebras that have a strong bond with each other, along with providing a complete 360-degree view of their surroundings as each zebra is looking the opposite way of the other. During the resting time is when zebras will perform a lot of their scratching to relieve an itch. Not only do they utilize objects to rid themselves of ectoparasites, loose hair, and dead skin, but they also roll in dirt or sand, which also happens to be one of the zebra's favorite activities. The barrel-shaped body of a zebra allows them to roll completely over and back again to rid themselves of an itch. Zebras can also relieve an itch by rubbing their heads against their forelegs, rubbing their hind legs against each other, and even foals will relieve an itch by rubbing themselves against their mother's bodies. Because the grass they consume is low quality, zebras are highly dependent on water and must ensure they find time to get a drink. Unfortunately for them, spending time at the riverbank or edge of a watering hole is extremely dangerous as they become quite vulnerable to predators. Zebras always approach a source of water with extreme caution. Zebras may take several minutes to approach a body of water to ensure it's safe to drink. Once they feel comfortable, they will group together and quench their thirst. If the water body is safe, zebras prefer to slightly submerge themselves in the water. This is because zebras are known as fussy drinkers and prefer to drink the cleaner water further away from the muddy banks at the water's edge. In the last few hours of daylight, the activity of Grant zebras increases. This is likely because of the day getting cooler as the sun begins to go down. During this time, zebras have finished their daily grazing bouts and are returning or seeking out a sleeping area for the night. Also during this time is where fights and skirmishes between stallions and colts mostly occurs. When zebras seek out a place to sleep for the night, they avoid tall grasses and woodland areas as these spots make an excellent place for predators to conceal themselves for an ambush. To increase their safety even more, zebras in the harem will sleep close to each other while one individual in the harem who is awake keeps an eye out for predators. If the zebra standing watch senses a predator nearby, that individual will call the alarm which immediately wakes up the other zebras. More often than not, the individual who keeps watch at night is the stallion. Zebras face a number of different predators on the African plains. The primary predators of zebras include African lions, spotted hyenas, and African painted dogs. Cheetahs and leopards also prey on zebras, but primarily zebra foals. Since zebras have to face a number of predators, they have quite a few defenses to help keep them safe. One of the most obvious strategies is the zebra's social nature to be living in large herds. Since there are so many animals in the herd, it decreases the chances of an individual being picked off by a predator. Zebras also rely on their physical attributes like their excellent vision, being able to see much greater detail than most other ungulates on the African plains. Their great vision is thanks to a zebra's eyes being placed on the sides of their heads, allowing zebras to see almost completely around them. Zebras also possess binocular vision, which allows them to focus more accurately on an object more than other herbivores. But this binocular vision is limited as they can only see a narrow zone directly ahead of them. Zebras also possess an excellent sense of smell which they use to keep them safe. Zebras have large mobile nostrils that can distend and contract, allowing them to take in various scents in their environment. Zebras also utilize hearing due to their round ears which have the ability to pivot in different directions, keying in on particular sounds. Zebras, if necessary, will also defend themselves in a more physical manner if they have no other choice. Zebras will often bite and kick predators to escape. One direct kick from a zebra could easily break a lion's jaw. Stallions will often chase and attack smaller predators like painted dogs and hyenas away from their harem. Occasionally they will even do this with lions to save a member of their harem. Mares will aggressively pursue predators if their foal is in danger as well. Ultimately, a zebra prefers to run away from a predator to decrease its chances of getting injured or killed. Zebras can outpace their predators since they possess incredible endurance. This endurance allows them to run long distances at a max speed of 40 miles per hour. Like all animals, Grant zebras reproduce to ensure the survival of their subspecies. Being an animal that lives in a fairly stable environment year-round, zebras have the ability to reproduce throughout the year. Typically, most zebra mares give birth between the months of January through March, during the peak of the rainy season. Since zebra mares have a gestation period of about a year, breeding and the birthing of foals often occurs around the same time. This is to ensure foals are born during the rainy season where grass is of the highest quality for mares to produce the best quality milk for their foals. The breeding process begins when a mare goes into estrus. Throughout the year, a mare will enter estrus every 21 days until she is pregnant. The stallion will determine if a mare is in estrus by sniffing her feces and urine, followed by performing a lip curl or phlegm response. During the phlegm response, odors from the feces or urine travel through an organ at the roof of the mouth of the stallion called the Jacobson's organ, which allows him to determine the receptiveness of a mare. Typically, after performing the phlegm response, the stallion will deposit his own feces or urine on top of the mare's. If a mare is not in estrus but is being pursued by the stallion, she will run away kicking at his face, which oddly enough only encourages him to chase her more. Because of the strong bond between the stallion and the mares, the stallion doesn't need to impress them through courtship displays. When a mare is in estrus, she will perform what is known as the estrus posture, which signifies she is in heat, ready to breed. The estrus posture is when a mare raises her hindquarters slightly while raising her tail. At the same time, the mare will have her mouth open with her teeth bared and ears pulled back. Oftentimes, the mare will urinate more frequently and with her urine being a cloudy milky white color, signifying she is at the height of estrus. This posture is irresistible to stallions as they know it's time to breed a mare. Mares will only stay in this position for a short period of time where she will allow the stallion to mount her. She will only allow the stallion to breed her at the height of estrus or if the stallion approaches the mare. Copulation often occurs every 1 to 3 hours throughout the day. When a female zebra foal, known as a filly, reaches sexual maturity after approaching a little over a year, she will begin standing in an estrus posture much longer than older, more experienced mares. Due to the length of time in this position, the filly attracts the attention of other stallions, particularly colts, who are trying to start their own harems. This becomes an extremely stressful time for the harem stallion as he fends off any stallion trying to take his filly away. When other stallions sense a filly is in estrus, they will congregate around that harem, making attempts to lead her away. Her father, the harem stallion, will attempt to fend off any stallions or colts that try to abduct his filly. Oftentimes, as the harem stallion chases one suitor, another approaches the filly trying to take her away. Despite the constant harassment, the harem stallion didn't become a stallion of his own harem by backing down. Because of this, he is very good at fending off any suitors. The harem stallion often gets into a lot of fights with other stallions to keep his filly. Most of these fights are not with experienced stallions, but rather with colts trying to abduct fillies to start their own harems. These fights often appear as a way to see if a colt can prove his worthiness to the harem stallion so he can take the filly. When the harem stallion meets with a rival, he will approach with his head outstretched and ears forward. The harem stallion will then shift his position into a threatening stance by raising his head, flattening his ears while baring his teeth. Both stallions will then proceed to circle each other in a canter while tossing their heads, positioning themselves to intimidate each other and prepare themselves to fight if neither animal backs down. Sometimes this is enough for the rival to back down and leave, realizing he is no match for the harem stallion. But if a rival is determined to take the filly, he will stand his ground and a fight will ensue. A fight between stallions consists of both zebras rearing up on their hind legs, shoving each other while neck wrestling. Then the stallions will drop to the ground once one of the zebras has a leg hold of the other animal. At this point, the goal of each stallion is to bite onto one of the hocks of their opponent while they circle around on their knees. These fights can go back and forth between rearing up and dropping down to the ground. As the stallions fight each other, they are trying to bite weak spots such as the ears, neck, mane, chest, and legs to slow their rival down. Fights between stallions can be so intense that they can last a few hours. Eventually, one of the zebras will give up from either being injured or completely exhausted. This will cause the losing stallion to lie still, waiting for the other stallion to let go. Once the winner lets go, the losing stallion will quickly stand up and run off. He will kick his legs back at the winning stallion who chases his defeated opponent. In cases where a harem stallion fends off a suitor, more often than not, the harem stallion wins these fights due to his experience. Some fights are less intense and end much faster. In this case, one stallion will express he has become submissive by turning his head down to one side. The other zebra will proceed to bite the submitting stallion a few more times before resting his head on the croup of the submitting stallion. If a rival stallion is successful abducting a filly, he will spend as much time as possible with the new harem member. While the stallion is excited about the filly, the mares of the harem do not treat the filly with the same grace as the stallion. The already established mares will not fully tolerate the new filly until she has become a permanent member at around 2.5 years old. In the meantime, the filly will be at the bottom of the hierarchy, harassed by the other mares through biting and kicking. After a period of time, the mares will accept the filly into the harem due to the relationship formed between the filly and the stallion. After a year-long gestation, a zebra mare will give birth to a single foal. When a mare gives birth, she will separate herself from the rest of the harem except for the stallion who is keeping an eye out for predators. Despite the mare separating herself from the other harem members, they are still not too far away while she gives birth. Signs a pregnant mare is ready to give birth is she will exhibit distension of her belly, a swollen vulva, a raised tail, and a restricted hind leg gait. Once she gets past the first stage, the mare will lay down in preparation for the foal to be delivered. As the mare pushes, 2 front hooves appear from the mare's birth canal. Then as the mare pushes more, the front hooves will be followed by the nose pressed tightly against the front hooves. At this point, the mare is close to fully giving birth. Very quickly afterwards, the foal will be expulted from the mare and still partially be enveloped in the amniotic sac along with the umbilical cord still attached to the foal. Once the newborn foal has entered the world, the foal will wriggle itself free from the amniotic sac. Then using its 4 legs, the foal pushes itself towards its mother where she will then lick its nostrils, eyes, and ears to rid of the birth fluids. The mare licking the foal is not only important to clean the foal, but this is where the bonding between the mare and her foal begins. Eventually, the mare will get back up onto her feet, standing close over the foal. She will then proceed to sniff the foal and lick at its hindquarters. While this is occurring, the foal starts the process of trying to stand up fully. It takes several attempts for the foal to stand up, but after about 11 minutes after the mare has given birth, the foal is able to stand on all four legs. Rather quickly, the foal gets the strength it needs to walk around and eventually run, which occurs about an hour after birth. At birth, the foal averages 60 to 70 pounds. When looking at a zebra foal, it is obvious that the foal's legs are not proportional with its body. In fact, the legs are quite long for its small stature. Zebra foals are also fairly distinct from the adults by having dark brown stripes rather than black. As the foal ages, the stripes will become black. A zebra foal is also covered in long, soft hairs, including its mane, which runs from the neck to the base of its tail. This gives the foal a fuzzy appearance. When a foal is over an hour old, it will begin to suckle from one of the two teats from its mother's udder. The first nursing bout is vital for the foal's survival for two reasons. One, the mother produces a special secretion from her udder called colostrum. Colostrum is produced for the first bout of nursing as it contains important antibodies to help kickstart the foal's immune system. Without the colostrum, the foal would most likely not survive. Second, when the foal nurses from its mother, it helps to strengthen the bond between mother and foal. Particularly when a zebra foal is very young, the mother will fend off other zebras from her foal by lowering her head and flattening her ears, lunging at any other zebras. It's vital for the foal to imprint on its mother, since zebra mares typically don't adopt foals, and without its mother the foal would not survive. The bonding period between mother and foal typically lasts for a couple of days. This allows the foal to recognize its mother's stripe pattern, scent, and call. Once the bonding period is over, the mare's threatening behaviors towards the other zebras of the harem stops. As the foals start to grow, they become stronger along with an increased desire to play. Zebra foals love to play, especially with other foals within the harem. Occasionally, foals from other harems have been documented to play with each other. Even adult zebras have been seen playing with foals. Regardless of who they play with, play is an important behavior for foals to partake in, as it allows them to learn how to behave like a zebra. This includes everything from body language to understanding rank in a hierarchy. The time of when a foal is weaned can vary depending on a number of factors. Generally, a foal is weaned between 7 to 11 months. During the few months after the foal is weaned, a mare has the ability to give birth to another foal if she was bred after the birth of her current foal. Oftentimes, mares will wait until their current foal is a year old before trying to conceive again. This ensures the mother can devote more time and attention to her current foal, bettering their chances of survival. Depending on the sex of the foal will determine how long they stay with their mother. Fillies typically stay with their mother between 1 to 2 years before being abducted by a stallion from another harem. Colts generally leave their mother between a year to 3 years, with some leaving at around 4 years. The time when a colt leaves depends on the tolerance of their father or the arrival of a new sibling, which breaks the bond between the colt and its mother. Once a colt leaves its mother, it has the urge to join a bachelor band where it learns to become a stallion. When a stallion reaches sexual maturity between 4 to 6 years of age, they typically leave the bachelor band to start their own harem. The Grant zebra is an animal admired yet often overlooked by more charismatic megafauna species. Yet the zebra has its place as an incredible animal, as it is both charismatic and unique in a number of ways. Its dazzling striped coat, a rarity among the mammalian world, is not actually a way to confuse predators, but rather a natural form of bug repellent, preventing zebras from succumbing to a number of deadly diseases spread from the flies that want to feed on their blood. The harem social structure of the Grant zebra is not only unique in the ungulate world, but also a proven survival tactic. With their strong bonds, zebras of the same harem are more likely to survive as they work together to protect one another, especially the stallion. Whether it's a predator or a rival, the family stallion will do whatever it takes to protect his harem. Even a mare with a foal will fight tooth and nail to save her foal from a threat, including a rival stallion trying to harm her offspring. Due to this form of social structure, zebra foals have a greater chance of survival compared to offspring of other ungulate species like the blue wildebeest, which don't bond well with each other. Lastly, Grant zebras are a highly adaptable animal, able to live in a variety of environment types and sustain a low-quality forage that kill most other herbivores. Their ability to consume the long, coarse grasses allow other, less hardier ungulates to eat the more nutritious shoots. This goes to show that Grant zebras have a vital role in the African savanna ecosystems of being a keystone species, allowing other ungulates to survive, allowing biodiversity to thrive. Without these striped equids of the savanna on the landscape, the African plains would not be the same.